why don't we get into some football? The New York Giants decided this past week to fire Jason Garrett. And I know a lot of Giant fans have been jumping off the ledge with Jason Garrett, with the offense. Daniel Jones' growth as a quarterback. A lot of people from the Giants organization believe by bringing in Jason Garrett, he was going to help the growth and the speed of Daniel Jones' growth coming to the Giants. Now, you saw what he did with Dak Prescott. Over the years with Tony Romo, he worked very good with young quarterbacks, and these young quarterbacks really did develop. Everybody keeps saying, well, Dak Prescott developed after Jason Garrett. That's not true. I think the stem of what Dak Prescott is today was from Jason Garrett. Now, I didn't think that Jason Garrett did a good job in the last couple of years as the Giants' offensive coordinator. That has a lot to do with Saquon Barkley's health, with Jason Garrett's, the way he likes to play the run first and use the throw second. So they didn't really have much of a running game, but it didn't make sense in the offseason letting Gallman go after what he did, taking over for Saquon Barkley last year and played very good. He was a very good running back for the New York Giants last year. The running back position has been good one game, bad the next. Good one game, bad the next. And then the wide receiving core. You spend a lot of money in the offseason. You bring in a second tier, and I'm going to say a second tier wide receiver from the Lions. And you overpaid for him because he didn't want to come here. And then you have Sterling Shepard, who had a good season. And then you decided to bring in Ingram. You were supposedly supposed to trade him at the trade deadline. You decide to keep Ingram. You get nothing for him. He's a free agent. There was a lot of mishap moves for the New York Giants. And a lot of people thought they were going to play hard against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially the last 2 years against the Buccaneers and how they've been in every single game. And Daniel Jones, his first win in the NFL was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a lot of people thought going into that game that they were going to compete against Tampa and stay in the game. They were very wrong with the New York Giants because they got pummeled. They couldn't score. Daniel Jones looked like he was half himself. They fired Jason Garrett. They're looking for offense, and we don't know if Gettleman's going to be in position to be the GM next year. I don't think he will. And Joe Judge could be on his last leg being the head coach of this team, where everybody thought he was great last year. He was up and coming. He was young. He was ready to be the voice of New York football. And now all of a sudden, I don't know where the Giants are with Judge. I don't know where they are with Gettleman. It could be the end for both.
I think so too. Yeah, it's very possible. Garrett's the first straw to fall because I think Daniel Jones, even though his development has been better this year, I think that's more him in comparison to him not making the dumb decisions he made last year, him being able to sense pressure a little better this year, and overcoming adversity where he has to spread the ball around because these other wide receivers haven't played well, because Saquon Barkley's been hurt. Jason Garrett's offense, I still really doesn't think has evolved. I know you mentioned he helped Dak Prescott. I give him some credit with Dak Prescott, but remember, Dak, his first 2 years with Dallas, had, like Daniel Jones this year, really didn't have much to throw to. Zeke's not a pass-catching back. Jason Witten's old. Des Bryant was injury-prone and really wasn't the same player as what he was. Cole Beasley was really the only consistent target Dallas had. So I amount that more to bringing in Amari Cooper, drafting CeeDee Lamb, and getting like actually good receivers. Now they have one of the best cores in the league. Gallup, they drafted homegrown. I give Dak credit for developing those guys more. Whereas with Daniel Jones, I think the same kind of thing. He's spreading the ball around where that offense, now he's a little better with the passing fluency. He's limiting the turnovers, and I give him more credit. Jason Garrett's offense just seems very conservative. And it's weird because in the first quarter of the Buccaneers game, I actually thought he was doing some unique things. He was sometimes bringing formations with 3 tight ends at different points in the backfield. Then he was spreading guys out 3 to a side. I actually thought he was doing unique things. And then this next 3 quarters of that game, he goes back to being his conservative self. I just don't think his offense is really built for the modern NFL, where there's not a lot of motion. I think the motion rate this year was second to last in the league, and that's going to hurt you in today's game. And especially with the Giants offensive line being as woeful as it's been, they got Andrew Thomas back last week, by the way, caught a touchdown, which was great. Mm-hmm. And they needed to be able to do more creative things. I don't think he ever evolved to that. Now, in terms of Judge and Gettleman, yeah, I think they could be out too. Judge was impressive last year, mainly because the Giants were supposed to be nothing last year, and they were actually somewhat competitive. They were 6-10. They almost won the division, a weak division, but still making the playoffs would have been a big deal. And Gettleman's had some good draft picks, but at the same time has had some squanders as well. So it's a mixed bag for him. So I think both of them can be on their way out. And the Giants, I think, are going to start looking for a more modern identity when it comes to their offense.
I think when you look at Joe Judge, really the lack of offense and the lack really this year where everybody thought this defense was going to be a lot better, bringing back back Leonard Williams and giving him the contract that they gave him. He hasn't had the season that he had last year with 13 and a half sacks. I know it's still a lot of football left. I think there's 7 games left where he has a chance to still put up some good numbers. But this year, that defense hasn't been as good as they were last year. The offense and what this team was supposed to be was going to be more explosive, more defined as an offense. And with Saquon Barkley not staying healthy, and again, another year of no full season of him, it affects them. And I think that Saquon Barkley could be on his way out too. I think the Giants have to decide, is he worth keeping or even extending a contract to? He hasn't been healthy for 3 years. And I told Giant fans, and I'm going to go back and pat myself on the back again, because I have said this over and over again. Saquon Barkley is a great back. He's going to be a great player in this league. And by the way, Tyler Harrison, do not compare him to Barry Sanders. It's something with the Beeve and Tyler, this feeling to compare these running backs to the greatest running back to ever play the game. It's ridiculous. There's no comparison to any of these guys. Zeke is nowhere close to Barry Sanders. He's closer to Barry Sanders than Saquon, okay? And that's not saying much. They're
Except Zeke hasn't been the best performance running back on his own team this year.
Yeah, they're far, far away from each other. There's no way they're going to catch Barry Sanders. And the fact that we've had people and guests on the show not even saying that Curtis Martin's anywhere close to Barry Sanders from these guys, it's a joke. But whatever. The fact is, the Giants haven't had a running game for the last 3 years. We don't know what the Giants are going to be next year, where they're going to go at the GM position, because I think Gettleman will be on his way out. This is the 3rd year they haven't made the playoffs. So, I mean, that's telling you that they're never going to get into the playoffs the way it's going. That is the weakest division in football. Yeah. It's by far the weakest division in football. It's not even close. And right now, if the Jets were in that division, I would have a better thought that the Jets could be a playoff team right now. If they were in that division, they could compete with Washington. They could compete with Philadelphia. It's telling you the Giants need to find a new GM and maybe a new coach and rebuilding again. And that could be another 4 or 5 years again. I've told Giant fans over, and over again, when Eli Manning retires, you are going to regret it, because all you naysayers that thought that Eli Manning wasn't going to be or isn't the player that you thought he was. He won 2 Super Bowls for the Giants in, 5 years? When was the last Giant to do that? Oh, I'm sorry, Phil Simms. And Phil Simms, he wasn't even one of the guys that did it for one of the years. Hostetler was. So I don't want to hear about all you Eli Manning haters. Eli Manning is the greatest quarterback to ever come out of the New York Giants organization. It's not even close. And for all you Giant, a.k.a. Eli Manning haters, grow up. As far as the Jets are concerned, the return of Zachy Wilson. And I say Zachy because the kid is the kid. And I didn't think that the Jets should bring him back as quick as they did. I think they should have sat him out a little bit longer. This offensive line has a tremendous amount of injuries. Morgan Moses could be out for a significant amount of time. I don't know if he's coming back this week. It didn't look good. It's really been Elijah Vera Tucker who's really taken over on that offensive line. Where are you going to put Elijah Vera Tucker? You're going to put him at the tackle position? I think you keep him at the guard position. You don't want to move him around. He's a rookie. You want him to understand the position that he's playing, especially going into his second year where he could be more dominant. If I was Zach Wilson, I'd be worried. I know they're playing the Texans right now, the Houston Texans. The last couple of weeks, the Houston Texans has looked good as a football team, and they haven't been pulverized like everybody thought they were going to be this year. Mills looks like he could be a quarterback in this league. They're getting a pass rush, something that the Jets haven't had on their side of the ball. So the Texans could absolutely win this game. I'm not going to be surprised if they win this game against a rookie quarterback that's coming back from his major injury this year. Is still learning the game, learning the speed of the game. So I'm worried for the kid. I hope they set up some protection for him. Maybe play with 2 running backs or 2 tight ends on the field to protect this kid, because if they don't, this kid is going to have a very bad day, Speedy.
I think this is a game, though, where at least if you're going to ease him back, I know the Texans have played hard. Like, they're not a very talented team, but they've played hard this year. It's still something you want to ease him back in comparison to starting him right away with like the Patriots or the Bills or something like that, and then all of a sudden have a tough time getting his confidence back. You need a game to get his confidence back. I'm not saying you have to go crazy game plan wise, because the sprained PCL, he might still not be able to roll off on that leg and do motion plays like that, because Mike LaFleur's offense is very motion heavy, and I don't know if that's the way to necessarily work him back in, because he's playing obviously with the other 2 QBs having COVID-19. So it's not like, I don't know how healthy he really is. This is the 4th week technically, so this was the initial diagnosis, the end of it. So this is when he was supposed to come back healthy, but is it a guarantee that he comes back healthy? No. But again, I think it's a good way to ease him back in at least. least, where you don't have to go too crazy. The Jets have advantages with the wide receiver position, at least on paper, that you would think that they should be able
That's
to
not
take
saying
advantage.
much.
I know, but the Texans secondary is nothing special. Yeah, you're right. Their pass rush has been good this year with a lot of the young players that they drafted the last few years, but it's still not a great overall defense where you could say, all right, the Jets really have to do all this extra stuff to game plan them and outcoach them to win the game. And I think it's a good way for Zach Wilson to be eased back into it, where especially now with Carter now being out, he's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks.
Which is terrible.
They're probably going to have to use a lot of the other backup running backs. So he's going to be throwing the ball a lot more, but also, again, throwing the ball a lot easier where it comes to they can use the pass catching type running backs too, with Coleman, with Ty Johnson, and just kind of ease him back in rather than having to force his hand.
I think that really stands out is Elijah Moore the last couple of weeks. He's really slowly but surely is showing you why. The Jets were very lucky to get him in the second round. He was a first-round talent on a lot of people's boards, including mine and yours, Speedy. A lot of people thought that this kid was going to be a highly profiled wide receiver in this league for many, many years. The first couple of games with Zach Wilson, we really didn't see it. Really, the last 3 or 4 games, he has like 4 touchdowns. Last week, he had his best game of his career, 140 yards, 1 touchdown with Joe Flacco. You see how explosive this kid could be in the future. The Jets could have their number 1 wide receiver for a very, very long time. So I think the Jets are positioned to win for the future at that position. So hopefully Elijah Moore could be the secret to their juice for their offense in the future.